Hi, everybody. Welcome to Beyond the Batcast, where I, Adam Upper, talk with Braydon Cutting about Batman, the animated series. And this week is another special episode. We have our one of our podcast betters joining us again. Is Tracey James to talk about Heart of Steel's parts 1 and 2. How are you doing, Tracy?
I'm doing pretty good, actually. I'm glad I could be on for these two episodes.
Yeah, just as we were finishing up the last episode, I was like, "Oh yeah, the next episode is Heart of Steel." I'm like, "Oh yeah, I should probably get a hold of Tracy and see if she's down for that." And then as I was saying to you before the pre started, it was just pure coincidence is that we're recording yours, ours, and yours at the same in the same week.
Yes, yes. So we'll be talking a lot this week. Yes.
Uh,
And the coincidence gets coincidence here because the technical difficulties happen to start before the podcast recording.
so it bound to happen eventually, yes. But as I
Yes.
said, this week's episode is Heart of Steel parts 1 and 2. So it's like the production order was episodes 38 and 39, and the air dates were actually 39 and 40. So they're pretty close from like being produced and airing. So the first one aired November 16th, 1992, and the second one aired November 17th, 1992. And I think the last time we had a two-parter, they aired like a week apart for some reason. So this time around, it's actually the next day. So do you remember what you're doing November 16th and 17th, 1992, Tracy?
Let's see. I was 12. Um, Probably coming home from school after in like 2 feet of snow, and then be like, "We're gonna miss Batman." That's probably what I was doing. Wouldn't be
Yeah,
surprised, at least.
so no, but yeah, way back in 1992 when I actually would have like snow in like early November, yeah, because I remember
Yeah.
my birthday is the 12th of November, yeah, so I remember a few years like in my early teens or like rolling like making like snowmen in my front yard like on my birthday and shit, so. And now we might get like one dump of snow before Christmas.
Or we might be
Is
wearing shorts in November. Who knows?
yeah.
It's global warming.
Al Gore was right.
No.
That,
We laugh because
yeah,
it's true. It's funny in a sad
it
way.
it is.
We laugh to
So
make
yes.
the pain go away.
Yes.
So yeah, so this episode is directed by Kevin Altieri, which I think we've this is name is sounding familiar, so I think he's directed a few episodes now, and written by Bryn Stevens, which doesn't sound familiar, so I think this might be their first episode written, which is pretty good because I think this is definitely one of the episodes that I definitely like remember from like the original airing and stuff because it was actually one of the few times like for egg because I was definitely too young to be because this is the shows I've definitely played on like the AI in 2001, and I definitely wouldn't have saw that, known or saw that at like 11 years old or 11 or 12 when this aired. Because I definitely don't even think I've seen it all the way through now, let alone that. So
Yeah,
Speaking as a 34-year-old man, like to make it to the end of that movie now is a challenge.
yeah. There's a lot of like just quietness and scenery, and you're just like, let's get on with the story. Let's something has to happen. You know what I mean?
It
And
is
it
not
just,
for the ADHD attention span.
oh no,
definitely not.
no.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think it definitely, if it ends up playing that, I imagine at some point, I may be hard pressed to go see it because usually, like, if the odd movie I see there that's I haven't seen, I make it a point to go see it there. So it actually forced me to be off my phone and see it, but I'm not sure, even sure I'll be able to make it through that movie in the theater.
Yeah, you'd have the
I'm make,
option of falling asleep. So, you know.
I'm
I
making a
know
five
that.
buck bet that you're opening your phone at least twice during the movie.
And I'm starting to get the age, and it's probably partially because of like my work schedule. Is I definitely run the risk of falling asleep in the theater already. So I think that would probably be higher than normal chance. I think because I think I definitely have to. schedule my movie going around my schedule, so to make sure that like it's run the least amount of chance of falling asleep in the theater.
Yes.
Yeah, because
Yes.
And
even
they're
for
comfy
the
seats too.
oh yeah, exactly my point. Yeah, because even for like next week, I was saying to Tracy before we started that I'm going to the review next week to see the original Batman, and I made sure I had like I was originally supposed to work midnights the night before, and I was like, oh, that's gonna be tough if like working midnights the night before and then like going and I'll run. So I made sure to switch that shift so I wasn't working so I could actually not fall asleep
I feel
because
like
I have done
the
that before.
I feel like the first Batman is loud enough and punchy enough that you're not gonna fall asleep. Like it'll keep your
Yeah,
attention, I think.
hopefully.
Yeah.
Prince will wake you up.
Yeah, I start doing the bad dance and I'll be fine.
Yes.
So speaking of, I thankfully just recently I saw at the Sonic Boom in Toronto that they had the Prince version of the Batman soundtrack there on vinyl. So I picked that up like a couple months ago.
Nice.
Something I've been looking for a long time. So I think they finally like got the permission to put his a lot of his discography like out and stuff. So I think a lot of his stuff hit around that time when that was the one I was most interested in, obviously for obvious reasons.
Mm-hmm.
So Tracy, I'm curious. Had you seen this episode when you were a kid, or is this something you watched when you were rewatching the show?
Oh no, I've definitely watched this as a kid while it was airing on TV, like all of the animated series. And then of course, many years later, bought the DVDs, and have enjoyed it many times since. But I actually only own quote unquote season one and season four on DVD. So I actually had to go on Prime and watch these two episodes. So, you know, I do still, it's one of those episodes that stick clearly in my brain. So as I'm watching it, I'm just like, oh yeah, this is the stuff, you know? Like it's great. I really like these two.
So yeah, so the episode starts off with that it looks like at Wayne Enterprises, and it's looking like it's like look it pans down from the clock, so it's just after 6. So everyone's like getting off work, so it's a weird time for an office to get off at 6. No, whereas they're usually like 10 to 6, or usually more than like 9 to 5. Or because I shouldn't say that's weird because I've never really worked an office job, so
I feel like these are the hard workers, the ones that like put in the extra time at work and they're like Mr. Wayne was leaving. He's like, I just have to get out before the alarms get turned on. And I think that's why there was that last rush, going
the
on.
stragglers, yeah, finishing everything off and being like, oh yeah, I need to go home and yeah, go home to the kids or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I see this lady walking up and drop off a briefcase or something at the front desk, and then just like takes off, and then like the guys are like checking out and be like, "Hey," and start try and chase her down, and can't find her. So they just like end up like putting it like behind the desk, I can't or something. I think.
I think they brought
There's
it into the office and they're like, I wonder whose it is. And then the briefcase opens on its own and they're just like, huh.
Oh
yeah.
yeah, just like pops open, and that's like where they see they're trying to check for ID, and like there's
Mhm.
no like ID in there at all, like to say like who the lady was or anything really.
They were kind of
So just like
mildly phased by an opening briefcase.
I mean, I would be because they're like, it looks expensive. It should have just like popped open like that, you know. I agree with them, to be
yeah,
honest.
it should be the opposite. It should be like a bit harder to open up really,
Exactly.
if anything.
I will say this is the first time watching it, I guess because I was being analytical about it. That I noticed the woman who we later find out is what, Randa.
Mhm.
Um, so she's walking out of the building with everybody else that was in the building with this briefcase. And later on, as the episode, like as this opening scene goes on, there's no reason for her to have put the briefcase at the front desk. It literally could have been dropped anywhere because it looks like she's coming from in the building and going out, not coming in and being like, oops, I'm dropping this here and then leaving again. So I was like,
Very good point.
you know, so I'm like, couldn't she have left it, in the stairwell where nobody would see it? Like that would have been fine as well, I think. But I guess that would have made the catalyst for the rest of oh no, the alarms is the catalyst. So yeah, no, it still would have worked. It would have been fine.
Well,
Mhm.
all I just say, if anything, is probably just like, it'd be a little more suspicious having that little, once it turned into the little walking robot-y thing, to be like walking like halfway around the office before it started cutting into doing the shortcuts into wherever it was going to steal the chips or whatever sort of thing. Because, like,
The
I guess, like,
wetware, yes.
what were, yeah, there you go. That's the ticket, yeah. Wait, which always sounds freaking a bit grosser than that it's meant to, really.
Yeah.
If
I
it's
I
computer
don't feel
chips.
comfortable Googling wetware. I don't know about you guys.
You have to
I,
put
th-
like
I think there's a reason why I knew not to do that. I figured that was probably part of the plan, is just because they knew they'd be at the security office be like the closest to wherever, I guess it would be the closest to wherever it was going in, just be able to cut through there and just and then get into the
yes.
fuck, instead of being like, like be on like the fifth floor and then have to go all down there, and it probably would have been picked up or taken longer than the set off the alarms before it meant to get there. Maybe.
Possibly, yes. I just thought it was like the way it was framed and the way it was done was just more awkward than it needed to be, I
Oh
think.
yeah, because she could have just been left because most like lobbies and buildings have like a couple of chairs or something. Yeah, it could have just been left there instead of her just walking up to the security, leaving it there, and then walking away. Yeah,
Hmm.
that was a bit, that was a little too obvious, I guess. Instead of
I'm
just
trying
then
not
being
to be
like, oh,
noticed
okay.
by security, so let me drop it up the security's desk.
Yes.
Hey, make eye contact with security beforehand and then drop it off. Yeah.
Make sure he gets a long, pervy stare at me.
That's a distraction, right? Yes.
Yeah. Also, I love the fact, I don't know if you guys caught like kind of the design of like the briefcase robot. It kind of reminded me of the Dianoga from Star Wars, like the garbage squid that they fall into in
Oh,
A New Hope. Like,
yeah.
the with the single eye, like bloop, bloop.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually made a comment about how I find it creepy but highly functional the briefcase robot is because it's just like it's got these like the spindly legs and like the one eye and you're just like you really do look unearthly, but because your
Mhm.
technology you're just like okay, I guess this works. You just accept it.
The animation was really good on this design.
It was, yes.
I
I
think
loved
this was
it.
Sunrise, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so. Yeah. So like so after they are looking at the briefcase, they go out the office and then run into Bruce as he's leaving, saying like, "Hey, I just need to get out before the alarms go off." And then as they're talking, they're like, "Okay, we'll walk you out." And just as that's going on, just as they're just about to leave, the alarm goes off because the briefcase robot friggin' was just about to broke into the where the wetware is and was starting to steal them, and then that set the alarm off. And then Bruce
Yeah, it
was
just sucks it up like a vacuum.
Yeah.
I think that I'm fairly certain that's probably not the best way to handle like prototype microchips.
They're just bouncing around in the metal hose.
Yeah. One thing I do like about this part is that so the guards are just like, "Oh, Mr. Wayne, I gotta put you in this office for safety reasons, blah blah blah." And he's like, "Stay put." Voice change. I don't think so. And I was like, "This is amazing. This is next level awesomeness." And then of course, there's a secret thing in the front
Yeah,
office
yeah,
for him to turn
yeah,
into
yeah, yeah,
Batman from.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah. He knows to have like the corner of that office be like the Indiana Jones style, like turning on like a thing. So it just presses like the button or whatever, and it turns, and he's able to to turn to Batman.
I feel like he's got one of those rooms on every floor in the building. He would
And I
have
was going to
to.
say, I was gonna say that was or it was just pure coincidental that he got into that room. Yeah, so
Yeah.
but he's got to be in a building that big. Yeah, he's got to have at least a couple of those rooms. Yeah,
Yeah.
throughout.
Adam, you just rewatched Batman Forever the other day.
Yeah,
So you remember that scene where he's in the office and he just sits
yeah,
in his chair and it
yeah,
literally just goes chair. The thing sends him in a chute.
yeah. He goes into the little freaking tunnel, his Elon Musk style tunnel. That's not a tunnel, and goes to the Batcave.
But the fact that it's like the word chair is his like secret code, like pull up a chair, Frank. Oh no, damn it.
Yeah, he should know by now to the safe words are words that you don't use, yeah, you won't be using in like everyday scenarios.
Exactly.
He's met Catwoman at this point. He should know this by now.
Maybe she's got all the safe words.
Pineapple.
Yeah, so that's what leads to the fight scene with Batman going up in the meeting the robot as it's trying to escape with the microchips. And you know what? Batman fighting a briefcase robot was surprisingly good, saying that out loud.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a strange concept to think about, but I'm like, it totally works on screen. It doesn't look cheesy. The briefcase robot comes across as actually menacing, and you're just like, holy shit, Batman's gonna lose. And he doesn't, but he doesn't
It's
technically
what
win that fight now that I think about it, but he doesn't die or anything, which
yeah,
is no.
he doesn't lose really more so really.
Yes.
Yeah.
But like, I really, like, you can tell it's like who put that much work into like a robot briefcase, because it should be just like pretty like basic, like go steal stuff and come back. Yeah, like here's a map. Go laser these three things and steal it and hoover up the discs and come back. Yeah, yeah. Who would have thunk to give like it'd be like, yeah, Neo, and like download some like fight choreography so you can fight Batman just in case.
Exactly. Using lasers and all that kind of stuff. It's great.
Laser is strong enough to cut an elevator in half. Like this thing's got firepower, man.
Does. My question is, why is
Well,
it running? If you've got that much firepower, you don't have to run anywhere. Everything's fine.
And I think that's when he chases him up to the roof and the suitcase. I just remember like so many of these machines like have like alternate functions. So I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, the briefcase sends out a rocket into like a
yeah,
secondary robot or something, right?
No, it's
I read
just
that.
it's
Yeah,
just a
just a
rocket.
rock. Yeah, just a
Yeah.
rocket
Okay, that's what it was.
to send by to eventually landed by the lady that I forget her name.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
so
it
it
so it opens and
yeah,
then like the inside where it had like papers and stuff like pops out and
That's it.
then it's like a rocket launcher and the rocket takes off, destroying the briefcase robot, not leaving any quote unquote evidence, but
Hmm.
sending the chips somewhere.
Right.
yeah,
Yeah, because that's when he takes off in the hang glider to pursue it
yeah,
and
yeah.
manages to catch up with it somehow
Somehow, yes.
because he's Batman.
I imagine like that Wayne Enterprises is downtown Gotham, and like I live downtown Toronto, so I know how bad like downtown traffic can be. So just getting like from wherever that is to like the outskirts of town, it probably doesn't take like super fast. So you could probably, yeah, get that glider set up and be like go in the general direction, because I imagine it's probably one of the taller buildings in town. I guess so you can just go in the same direction and probably still kind of catch up with her, I would think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Makes sense. And that's when he's following in the car after yeah, this mysterious woman has taken the wetware chips and it's like a self-driving car. Like she literally just has to say like, home and it like drives. There's no steering wheel. So like that ought to, you know, get the audience's attention at the first glance. And that's
That's a
when
little too trusted in like the self-driving car, I think. Even for a robot.
oh come on,
Like,
you
but
don't trust Elon with that idea?
uh, Like I only trust myself to drive. That's why I don't. So I'm not going to trust like the car to drive itself.
Oh, we're gonna have so many AI jokes in this episode.
Then speaking of like too much firepower for something like as like the car gets going, it has like radar with it as well, and shows that it's there's something following in the air. Then zooms in and shows that it's Batman. So she like says like just she should just say trunk or like or just like
Think she
or
said
did
like
she like
intruder and then rectify,
oh
cue
yeah that's
Gatling
right.
gun out of the trunk.
Something. Yeah.
Yeah, it has like the turret gun in the fucking trunk and just starts like shooting at Batman and has like the exploding like rounds like going around him. Yeah,
Yeah, and even Batman's like, holy shit.
like yeah, that was definitely like out of like self-driving cars. I would definitely not something I would expect it to be like in the trunk.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, one
He's
thing
like,
this really reminds you is that like in the 90s in a kid's show, having like bullets and guns and being the hero being put in like definite danger from nothing, something tangible, not like mythical, is kind of like it's very intense. I find it
mhm.
very intense, you know? Yeah. Because I feel like now even like the Batman cartoons and stuff, it's not people aren't pulling guns anymore. Yeah, there's some people who have like lasers or whatever, but it's more thematic weaponry of some way that's kind of like yeah, it'll hurt Batman, but it's kind of fun. It's sort of like a lot of like Mr. Freeze guns, not like bullet guns, that kind of thing. So I always find it like interesting when I'm watching these episodes and like there's legitimate like people with shotguns and Gatling guns and all this kind of stuff just like tearing things apart. And like as the bullets are like ripping through his hang glider, you're just like, oh shit, Batman could actually die. Like what is happening? It's kind of crazy to me when I was like watching it yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're
tension is
definitely
for real.
Hmm.
yeah they're definitely testing the sensors on that one with like the yeah with the trunk gun yeah so that so it does like go like tear apart some of his glider and he ends up like falling to the to the beach. And then the car gets away and she gets does it actually show that it's going back to HARDAC or is it just show her like getting into it like into a pulling into like a random garage? I can't remember.
I think
I
she
think
just
it was like,
drives off.
Oh, okay.
might have been, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think you actually like see where the car is going. I think that's the mystery. So you don't
Okay.
see where it's going. You just see it's just gone in the distance kind of
Hmm.
thing. Hmm.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, then it cuts to like Batman getting back to the Batcave and like yeah, like have we seen these like robot arms before? Or is this like the first time they've shown up? Like he has like puts the glider like broken glider down and like the robot arms come down and like pick it up.
No, this is the first time we've seen these.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
honestly I don't think you even see them ever again, except in
yeah,
Probably
well,
not.
sorry,
I think
except
they're,
in the next episode.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
but
yeah.
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 So yeah, so then like we get to that. I always thought like the grippy part of that is always weird too, because there's like the two on the top and one on the bottom. That's probably like one of like the worst like things for like especially for a robot because it probably doesn't have like the dexterity to bend it really to pick up more, and then we'll see it will show later why that's probably not the best. Yeah, so it's always weird that he just kind of put it down and just kind of came down, picked it up, and took it away. Because like,
Hmm.
where's it going to do? Put it in like the broken glider pile that's somewhere in the back cave.
Maybe. I have no
Yeah, he's
idea.
got like a giant wind tunnel to dry it off.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's
put
like
in
a big turbine at the back of the Batwing.
they put it into the I'll fix it later pile.
Yeah.
Just like me, Batman has a doom pile. And that's where they get into a bit of an exposition scene where Alfred's asking, like, so what was going on? And he says, They were taking the wetware from Wayne Enterprises, and he explains that it's his starting for artificial intelligence, and it's like sophisticated technology, like machines that can think.
Yeah,
And
it's like the
Alfred,
step between human thought and like computer
yeah,
AI,
and
and
I
that's
love
when
the line when Alfred's like, so human beings will be expendable, except for butlers, of course. So Alfred's clearly never seen the Jetsons.
Nope. I don't think they exist in that world.
Rosie.
But usually, I find usually in anything where there's AI, it's the robot is the butler and is like, I'm sick of this, and then takes over the world. That's usually how it
Yeah.
works.
Okay, wait, we just want the sassy robot first though for a bit. That would be fun.
Yes, very necessary. Very
Well, if you
necessary.
remember Age of Ultron, we got a sassy Doomsday robot, so
There you go. Yes.
we
Yeah.
can't
He
have
was yeah,
everything we want.
yeah. He was a bad kind of sassy and turned like right away. We need the fun sassy for a bit first.
Yeah.
Yes.
Start with fun sassy, progress to Doomsday sassy.
Yes.
That way we won't see it coming.
Yeah, be like
Exactly.
the frog in the pan. Yeah, like just ease into it.
There
We'll
you
never
go.
notice.
We're already there, guys. We were already talking about greenhouse gases and such. We're there.
Yeah.
We're there.
Well, and it's
Greenhouse
kind of funny
gases.
because like with today, like the uh, talk of the working world is like, like is AI gonna like phase us all out of like, our jobs and stuff. Like I've looked into that stuff for like my own, just curiosity. And it's kind of funny, like there's like a lot of podcasts I listen to. I think like Adam Conover was one where he talked to someone who was like comparing Chat GPT and programs like it to stochastic like parrots. So pretty much like a program like that is pretty much whatever you put into it, it just kind of repeats back to you like, cracker, cracker. And
Mhm.
like we are definitely a ways away from there. Like I'm sure like for simplistic things, it's basic functions are, available, but yeah, I don't think that we're gonna have Skynet taking our jobs anytime soon.
I don't know. I don't think people are worried about Skynet quite as yet, even though the conspiracy theorists and people like me keep yelling into the wind. I'm like, we've made movies about this. Watch yourself. It's fine.
Yeah, I
But
saw
at
Ex
the
Machina.
exactly. But I think we're at a point again where, scientists and computer scientists are at the point where like, oh, we should do this. But like, should you? Just because you can, should you? Like, is this where you should go with this? Because that kind of happened at the turn of the century, like not this century, sorry, the 18th to the 1900s with like medicine and all this kind of stuff and genetics and everything. Yes, we learned a lot of stuff, but God, some horrible things were done. And even with like AI and things, I feel like the way they're already trying to use the technology to just eliminate even like basic positions or basic things, it's just scary. And I know as a society we've already gone through this a few times and we're gonna get over it, but at the same time they're not a lot of companies, and this capitalism that's just like greedy, greedy, greedy is just being real brutal about it. And I think that's what people are scared of.
No, I understand the fear. My point is like I think that a lot of it is just kind of inflated fear from the people who have control of those programs.
Hmm.
And yeah, I think that that's the thing that keeps us kind of on edge, like, in the working world. And it's the thing that, it's going to take my job, like, any day now. I might as well be packing my things over the course of the next week. Whereas I think if like we've kind of experimented with like AI and like just like random things like Chat GPT, and it's like, okay, like there's definitely so I'll never forget we had a friend of mine who said that he like randomly experimented with ChatGPT, and he's like, by the way, it can't do insider trading. Trust me, I checked. I'm like, well,
But
yeah, that's
it's got no insiders first. So like once somebody like stupidly upload something that they're not supposed to, like we're all be able to get it on that. So.
yeah.
So like the next day, like Bruce goes to check in on what's going on, just to pretend to be on the other side and be actually able to go around and ask questions because he can't really do that when has Batman like when he's there the night before. And then I think that's when he was that when he runs into Lucius or was that when he was talking to him the night before? Like
Yeah,
as Batman.
Lucius calls him at when he's in the Batcave the night before. And then he says he's gonna go back, and then I think he goes the no, I think he meets Lucius Fox twice because he goes to the back to the office that night and meets him, but then he's in the office the next day, and that's when he goes and meets HARDAC and then flirts with the assistant, and then she shows up. I forget what the order is there. Actually, now that I think about
Well,
it.
I think when he goes back to Wayne Enterprises to kind of have like not necessarily an alibi, but like, him stepping into the office to be like, oh, my stuff has been stolen. You don't say, kind of,
Okay, yeah.
like because he's obviously knows that it's stolen because he was there, but they don't know that. So when he gets there and talks to Gordon, that's when Gordon's daughter, Barbara, shows up. And this is our first
Yes.
appearance of Barbara Gordon.
Hmm.
Nice. And does she actually she turns into Batgirl in this show, right? Like at some
Yeah,
point,
she
right?
does.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, I couldn't remember if I remember seeing red hair at one point, but I couldn't remember if it was her or not. I like as we were saying, like they find out like the only they were saying that the only other people that person that was working on AI is this person you learned about computers about is Karl Rossum. He's the head of the Cybertron Industries, which I thought is funny because it's obviously a bit of a nod to the Transformers because like that's like
That's exactly what I put. I'm
the
like,
Yeah.
wait,
yeah
Cybertron?
that's
What?
yeah yeah it's like there's their whole planet is Cybertron, yeah. So
Yeah. So Karl Rossum, I have the voice actor here. Uh, he's voiced by William Sanderson, and the reason why that's important is because he's modeled after his own character, J.F. Sebastian from the movie Blade Runner, and has the
Oh.
same vocal
Oh
pattern. And
my God, that makes so much sense now that you said it. Yes.
well, yeah, because I'm like, this is a very distinct voice compared to the usual kind of cast selection. So that's what, because at first I'm like, why does this guy sound like Jimmy Carter? Like, it's not, well, kind of Jimmy Carter, Bill Clinton mix, but I did not have adult relations.
Oh my God. I wish I had looked this up because that just makes so like his now that you've said that, I'm like, oh my God, it is that guy's voice. Like, how did I not put these two things together before?
and
And that's
I
when,
only saw only saw like Blade Runner like once all the way through like within the last year I had to imagine. So like so I didn't quite pick up on that.
I'm never watching that movie again. I'm not watching the sequel.
Oh, the sequel, I will tell you this. The sequel, 2049, is so good. I don't even know like it yes, it is kind a little slow and a little quiet, but it's elevated and like I find like a lot of sequels these days is just about making something not even better, but just bigger than what was before.
Mhm.
Whereas you watch 2049 and you're like, no, this is the like visually, tone wise, the technology in the world, the attitudes in the world feels like a natural progression from one movie to the next. And like they just meet perfectly, I find. And I was even
Makes
shocked
sense.
how much I liked that second movie. So I do
Okay.
recommend it. I do recommend
Right.
that one.
For you, Tracy, I might just give it a shot.
Okay.
Yeah. I
I
just
was like
remember
how
with the original Blade Runner, like, I think I was spent so much time confused. I'm like, wait, so they're robots or they're clones? And like, they never give you an answer. And At
No,
least
they're
not in
Robots
the
in
context of the movie
disguise.
to me.
oh, okay. Well, no, they're artificially created beings, put it that
Right.
way.
Which
Um,
I understood after I read the Wikipedia page.
oh, okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
this is
it's a
great.
weird thing. Yeah.
Explain this in the script.
Yeah. That does become a big part of the second movie, where they do talk a little bit more about that and why it's so like it was so imperative in the first movie why they like wanted to escape and wanted to have a life so badly. Like you kind of get it a little bit more because they get a little deeper into it. But within the second movie as well, there's this whole thing about like, like technology and isolation and all this kind of stuff. It's really interesting and I do recommend. Like I said, I recommend you watching it. I think you'd find it would make the first Blade Runner better in your mind, I think, after watching this one, because it clarifies some things, I think.
Okay. You know what?
I'll
Actually,
give
that
that a
does
go.
sound like a interesting kind of social commentary on that kind of idea. So yeah, I'll
Mhm.
definitely give that a shot.
Yeah. It's also real pretty. So there's that.
Oh, well, that's the thing. Like when I watched the original and like visually, this is great. It's just not got enough substance to draw me in and retain my attention.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, no, I find it's very it's art. I'll put it that way. But
Oh yeah.
based on the book that it's based on, which is Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep,
Mhm.
which is written by Philip K. Dick. And tell you the truth, I love most of the movies based on his work, but reading his books is like pulling teeth to me. And even though I've read a few of them,
We all
because I
know
just
that
want
reading is
to,
for suckers.
well, that's true. That's true. You get over
I
a
mean,
movie in 2 hours, you got to read a book for like 10. Like, this is ridiculous. Um, but like even the book that is based off of, they're just like, yeah, this is too boring. We're gonna switch things up a little bit, it seems like. No. Don't read like I mean literature, yay, but you don't have to read the book. Just watch the movies. It's fine.
That's good.
Yes.
Because
yeah,
if
don't
the
be like me
movie
and
was
actually read
boring to
books.
me, I can only imagine how boring the book was.
Also, the first time I read the book, I was just like, what does this have to do with this movie? That's how I felt. Yes.
So
Yes.
I believe
Anyways,
that's what,
Batman.
yeah, yeah. I believe that's when we're introduced to HARDAC at this moment. So HARDAC is the prototype AI for Cybertron, not the planet. And it's this robotic
Oh, I never
tower
beat
like the size of a
CI.
grain silo.
Mhm.
And visually kind of similar to HAL 9000 from 2001: A Space Odyssey. But this is what made me laugh. So HARDAC stands for Holographic Analytical Reciprocating Digital Computer. So if you guys paid attention to that, there's just a D there. There's no A between the D and the C.
Yeah,
So
like yeah,
really,
the
his name is Hardick or Hard Dick.
yeah. So I think they capitalized the A in digital just to try and counteract as much as they could, which is like not that much.
You know in the writers' room they were pulling out their hair trying to come up. What word could we put in here for an A? Just leave it. Just leave it. They're not gonna notice.
Well, I'll get one. Holographic Analytical Reciprocating Digital Operating Network, or Hard On.
This is a kid's show.
Yeah, they won't get it till later. Then they'll go think back and laugh. It's all good.
It's
And
all
then the odd
good. It's
parent,
all good.
then the odd parent might be that might get a laugh at it or two if they're watching.
Exactly, you know.
Or the dads will just be staring at Randa for too long. And as it so happens, that's when Randa walks in. So I apparently looking at the production notes, Randa was visually based on Marilyn Monroe, which I kind of saw a little bit of comparison. It wasn't until I saw like the beauty mark in the corner of her lip that I was like, okay, I see it.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And
then then
she introduces herself to Bruce.
Yeah, and then I guess it makes more looks like her when she shows her hair later. That's like it shows that she's like the same blonde from earlier as well.
Hmm. And she's like talking to HARDAC kind of like sometimes she's talking to him from afar, sometimes she's talking to him like in the same room, but seems to be kind of in sync with him, which is kind of a that's the thing I liked about this is that I didn't meet well, we'll figure it out as we go along. I didn't get the connection between Randa and Hardak at first. When I watch it again, I'm like, okay, I see it now. Like it doesn't spell it out for you. Like you still think that, she's just a scientist. But when you're
Mm.
kind of walking around, like there's little hints like when Bruce goes to shake her hand and she's like, "Oh, your hands are so cold."
Oh yes, yeah. But even with the dialogue, they make little jabs at it. Like because like he starts hitting on her immediately, which I think is hilarious. He's like, "Oh, maybe I'll get some information about from your nice assistant." I'm like, "Whatever." But even later, he's like getting in an elevator and he mentions he's like, "Well, this should be easy. She's only human." Or like, "Is she?" It's like it's stuff like that. Yeah.
Which is weird because
Yeah.
like we haven't really set like Bruce up as like a really like a ladies man too. So I thought that was funny too that he is just all of a sudden like trying to turn it on for the hot assistant.
I don't know. I find within the series, he doesn't come across as a ladies' man, but there are many episodes where he's just on dates with women.
Mm.
So he's getting them. Maybe it's just because he's rich or whatever. But my thing is, it's like I know he's faking it as Bruce Wayne, but is he faking it so much that he's intentionally off-putting these women? Or do you think, his idea of not being cool is just off-putting?
Say a little bit of column A and a little bit of column B.
Okay.
Yeah. Because that's the other thing is like how stunted is this man emotionally and like how much game does he actually have? Because like that is the thing. Like he's surrounded by women a lot, but more often than not, it's just him standing there and looking pretty. And like he
Yes.
doesn't need to say or do much. He's just kind of like, yeah, my place, Friday, be there.
What? He's a
And plus
handsome
I
rich
think
man. People are gonna say yes. Okay. Like that's what's
yeah,
gonna happen.
and plus you being talking about being stunted like other than like after he lost Harvey as being a friend when he turned into Two Face, I think the only other human that he really talks to on the regular basis is probably Alfred. Really, so like, so he played, so he is probably pretty stunted and like knowing
Alfred's his
like
wingman.
yeah, having like knowing normal human cues with people and stuff. He's probably just solely based on Alfred, so he probably doesn't. Yeah, so he is probably a little just off-putting just because of himself, and he probably doesn't know how to talk to normal people and stuff, or he may say something to Alfred, and it would be a bit different because their setup is obviously a lot more different than him with like regular people and stuff. So Alfred probably let some stuff slide, I think.
Yeah.
So
But I feel like I also feel like, with you bringing up Harvey Dent, like him losing friendship there, like but in like love as well, with Poison Ivy when she first gets introduced, it's it's a honey trap, right? That
yeah,
she puts on, and then he's just like, "Oh, you're poisoning me with stuff." And oh, we've got to stop this. And then because they were gonna get like married and stuff really quick and whatever. And then the other person he falls in love with is Catwoman, who's just like, so he goes on dates with her as Selena Kyle and him as Bruce Wayne, and she's like, I'm good. And then as Batman and Catwoman, they're like, yeah, let's do this. You're like, what? So I don't know. I don't know.
so obviously, yeah, his idea of like normal dates isn't compared to like everyone else, really, I
Exactly.
think.
I'll ask my mother for tips on women. Oh, right.
Yeah, just don't take her to the opera.
Yeah. And that's where I think that's when Miranda is I keep on wanting to call her Miranda. It's probably Miranda's probably short for it, but whatever. Randa is talking to HARDAC and saying, "Is the duplicate ready?" And he's saying, "Yes, it is." So this thing is like self-aware, if that hasn't been clear enough.
Mm.
Um, I don't think that Rossum is entirely up to speed as to how self-aware HARDAC is. And so out steps a naked Commissioner Gordon, who promptly gets
Hot.
dressed.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, he was hot. He was that skin was steaming.
Yeah, it was literally steaming.
Yeah.
well,
I'm
well, we
hot
kind,
blooded. Check it and see. Got a
we kind of
fever.
know. We kind of know that like Hardak is somewhat sentient because like after they leave, like he kind of scolds her for not getting everything like the night before or whatever. So like, I like as they're making the double, which we find out to be Commissioner Gordon. Yeah, did we see that it actually was Commissioner Gordon, or was just like a body? Then he said like, "Hey, send it out," and then we find out that like when it shows up to the house that it's Commissioner Gordon.
It was just a body, but you could just see through the steam like white hair and a mustache, and there is no mistaking that haircut.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, because the next scene after that is like it shows up at their house and like there's like a knock on the door and Barbara is just like on the ground like reading the newspaper or something like that. Then Commissioner Gordon's like, okay, I guess I'll get the door, and then he answers the door and then it's like himself and Randa, and then that's really tase him, and then I'm surprised that Barbara didn't hear the taser more like as that was happening because I
But
always
she
imagine
did.
like tasing is or kind of yeah, but like I always
Yeah.
imagine like tasing is a lot louder than
Mm.
they had it really because she was like because they just kind of had her like I heard something inside and be like okay I know what that is.
Mhm. I
So
did
that's all.
find it interesting in that scene when she heard the tase and was like, she starts calling out for her dad and everything. And instead of walking around the couch, she crawls over the couch. Like,
Oh
I
yeah.
was like, what? What is
Yeah,
I
yeah,
like I found it
that
so
was
weird. I had to write it down. I was like, she climbs the couch instead of walking around. That was a choice. Like,
He's
I
pulling
just
the
found it
Riker
so odd.
maneuver.
Exactly. I was like, what is even happening here? And then
and then
yeah.
too with that they then like the animators have to like animate that as well instead of just like having them walk around too. So you're like, what?
Mhm.
It's just like a weird choice all around.
All around, yes.
I was making bets on how far we were going to get into it without a Star Trek reference.
Look, I try my best to hold my tongue when it comes to Star Trek, but if you bring it up, I will allow it.
Tracy, I put Star Trek notes in here. It was just a
Okay,
matter of
good.
time.
It was just a matter.
Knowing you were coming on, I'm like, this will happen.
Make
and I
all the
and I
references. Thank you.
and I haven't watched the two movies for our episode yet, but I already know what the two references are for that. So
So do I. Making it happen.
There we go.
touching, go us.
Yes.
So that's when fake Gordon comes in, and there's a bit of an inside joke between me and Adam because of a Discord that we're on, Tracy. But
Mhm.
they're pulling a Dr. DC with "I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine."
Yeah, just because like the first time he says that, she kind of catches it. He says like two more times, and then there's something else that that happens that really like catches her attention. Then it's not
Well,
him.
Oh, he
she
smacks
he
But
the teddy bear away.
yes.
that's it. That's it. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's like the third thing. And you just like because they made a big deal about it when she first showed up. She's like, "Hey, up my like," because Bruce says like when he sees the bear earlier, he's like, "Well, yeah, this is my." Whatever the fuck she called it, Whoopi or whatever the
Wooby.
fuck.
Will be, yeah.
And he's like, yeah, I've had it since I was three. And then he's like, yeah, Dad always make sure to bring it with him every time he picks me up for the airport. And I like the fact that Gordon just kind of ran with it. And he's like, yeah, he knows the way to the airport better than I do, so that's why I bring him every time. Instead
Yeah.
of just saying like, no, or you'd be like tough cop, like, oh no, I didn't bring that. I didn't bring the bear for you.
Yeah.
So,
No, I like his I like in this episode that they let him like bring his dad magic. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like they're
Hmm.
like,
yeah,
no, you're a
yeah,
good dad. You love your
yeah,
kid.
yeah,
You're
exactly.
taking
Yeah,
care
so
of her. And you'll even do these like ridiculous things just to make her laugh or just to make her happy, whatever.
Yeah,
But I loved it. I loved it.
yeah, yeah. Commissioner Gordon's the best. Yeah, I definitely like this one of my better versions of Commissioner Gordon. I think. Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
So
But yeah.
after
So yeah.
that, what happens after that? After that Stepford Wives moment?
Oh yeah, that's right. I'm not sure
Oh,
if I've
it's
seen it.
Bruce and Rand at Wayne Manor. And yeah, they're, having a fun date. And okay, what would have happened if Bruce and Branda went all the way in this scenario? Like, at what point does he go, wait a second?
You're
Well,
still
as I said,
cold, but this is odd. Yeah.
yeah, I liken it back to like Ex Machina. Yeah, so I wonder if they went like that way, where like at one point he said like, well, if you wanted to, like, you could like they basically said you could fuck the robot if you wanted to. So, but being a like children's toy cartoon, I doubt they make the robot that way. I think it'd be more like a Barbie and Ken doll. I
Yeah,
think.
this is
All
not
sweet.
Westworld.
Oh yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, sorry, it's not data quite yet.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Have you guys watched Westworld? Because otherwise I was gonna make a joke that, would go over your heads.
You can
First,
make a joke about it, but I did try watching that show and I hated it. And
I
in
watched
what
like
it
the first season.
yeah, and in one of the
Uh,
actual episodes, at first I couldn't realize why I didn't like it, but in one of the episodes they were having like a discussion about, making things better and attracting more visitors and one of the guys was like, they're not happy because you need to tell the story, not to show the story, not tell the story. And I was like, oh, this show is just filled with a bunch of exposition, but they're not actually showing the exposition. So I'm bored. And then I just stopped watching it because I was like, this is fucking stupid.
That's
yeah.
that's pretty accurate. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. I
No,
think it's sorry, I think it's sad that if within your show you tell the audience the problem with your show, I think that's an issue.
that's a very fair point.
Yeah,
We recognize the problem, but we're not doing anything to fix
Yeah.
exactly.
it.
We're too arrogant to care. No, I was gonna make the joke that when when Randa sees Bruce's wang, she says, "It doesn't look like anything to me."
Okay,
Oh,
don't get that one. Okay, I guess that's a deep cut in some way.
That's like a recurring line that the robots will say in Westworld.
Oh
Whenever they see
no.
something that isn't part of their programming,
Yeah.
it's like,
oh yeah,
that's
because
nice.
like
Like,
one of the things is like why don't they leave and like they just can kind of program to like not see like doors and stuff and like other stuff. So
if you whipped out like in Westworld, if you whipped out an iPhone and be like, look at this, you'd be like, it doesn't look like anything to me.
Oh, like City just wouldn't like recognize it or wouldn't acknowledge it kind of thing.
Yes, yeah,
yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of cool.
yeah. I'm
Have
glad
you
one of you got that joke.
have you seen I feel like I should just watch it just to see it. But have you seen the original movie that this is based on? Like Westworld, sorry.
Um,
Not yet. Like the 1978 or whatever. That's like based off like
Yeah.
the not yet. No.
no, I do want to check it
I've
out
been
because I
meaning
heard it's really
I,
good.
I've
Mm.
been meaning to, but it's on the eventual list. That's just been eventually it's been kept on pushing back. Yeah, but not yet.
Yeah, my to watch list also gets very long or is still
Yeah,
very long. Keeps getting longer. It's a thing. I don't know.
yeah,
I'll
yeah.
never get through it.
Nope. That we will not. So Randa is at hanging out with Bruce, having a robot date,
Hmm.
And that's
and
I think when well, at first, Randa had left like a makeup kit that turned into like a little kind of hacking robot because she thought it would be the specifications that she needed would be on Bruce's personal computer, and turns out it's not. And it overheard Bruce saying there's just a bunch of dummy files in there. So while oh yeah, because he had to return to the office when once again his like in the span of like 2 days, his company has had like a break-ins like
Uh,
simultaneously after the same department.
Actually, doesn't he go back to the office and said like, yeah, like the dummy files were in the there, and he said that the files were actually at home. Like,
Yes, yeah.
like that.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Then that's where she like she hears that, and then she goes starts looking for him there, and that's where she
Mm.
And
like
Taze is Alfred. Oh,
I was gonna say yeah, like yeah, he's like he's like comes down. He's like, "Oh, I heard your voice," and he like tases him. And I was like, and then after he says like, when he wakes up afterwards, Alfred says he didn't remember everything. He was like, "Does tasing affect your memory, or is it just, or is that just like bad writing?"
I
Because
Well,
don't
he's like
because
know.
I can,
70 years old, so he's maybe got brain damage or something.
I guess I say, yeah, because I can say like I think that I've like never been tased yet, so I'm not sure.
Mhm. Well, I was thinking that maybe they're special types of tasers, like the robot made. So it's like you forget
I
like a short amount when you get tased with it or something. Because
I guess
even
robot tasers would be a little stronger. I guess
yeah, because even well, I guess this is spoiler for the end of the second episode, but when I will not say who it is, but when the other people wake up at the end of the second episode, they're also like, "How did we get here?" So, or like, "Oh, what happened?" So I
guess
feel like there's a forgetting Ray part of the taser or something.
I guess yeah.
And that's
Well,
when
well,
she brings out those like goggles, right? That like X-ray goggles.
Mhm.
yeah,
Was able to find like the kind of hollow spots looking for because like HARDAC says like look through the house, and she finds like the hidden passageway to the Batcave, and she says, I just realized not just where the computer is, it's the Batcomputer. Bruce Wayne is Batman.
Yeah.
And HARDAC's like, interesting. I'll, log that for later. And as she's
but,
taking the specs, I think that's when he says, like, I'll take it from here. Bruce realizes that nobody's picking up at home, I believe, right? Because
Yeah.
that's when
yeah,
he headds home.
yeah,
Yeah.
because yeah, it's about as Alfred's getting tased. It's like when he realizes that yeah that they're gonna try and go there, and then he calls and yeah, he realizes they're not answering. Yeah,
Well, I
Also, when
think
he picks
so, sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say when he comes and finds Alfred unconscious, I don't know if you guys caught it, but at first he's starting out with like the Kevin Conroy, Bruce Wayne, and then as soon as he sees Alfred lying there, he immediately goes into panicked Batman voice.
I
Yeah.
like yeah, because he does a couple of times in this episode. Yeah, he does like the
Well,
Batman voice as he's Bruce Wayne. Yeah,
Well, I think it's because like his Batman voice is actually his regular speaking voice, and his Bruce
Mhm.
Wayne voice is the voice he puts on. So when he gets into a panic, he automatically like just drops the facade and is just like,
yeah,
I'm gonna speak normal. What's oh my god, what's happening? Like I think that's what it is. And I think also too, because Randa's not there, he was just like, whatever, like this is fine, kind of thing.
yeah. It's made me think of that meme with like that dog like in the fire, like this is fine.
This is fine. Everything's fine. Yes.
I'm fine. I'm fine.
Yeah, so yeah, so he makes sure that Alfred's okay, and then goes down into the bat cave, and then he notices that starts to try to do something that goes on the fritz, and then the glider getting robot comes down and grabs him, and that's the end of the first episode.
To
Mm.
be continued.
Do, do,
You
do.
know, yes. I thoroughly enjoy that episode. Like, I think I mentioned this the last time I was on. Like, it blows my mind how much storytelling gets told in these 22 minutes of
Yeah,
Batman episodes. And it's not like, and it doesn't come across as choppy and it doesn't come across as rushed, but you get like a whole story and you understand how they went from point A to point B to point C. Like, you get it. And it's just, it blows my mind. The writers for this show was just amazing.
yeah, like I always forget like as we're watching that these are only like the half-hour episodes, yeah, instead of like
Hmm.
full hour stuff, yeah. So and then yeah,
Yeah.
like
And
you
what they're
guys
able to
read the writing,
accomplish in like a half hour is impressive.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
It really is. It really is. Yeah.
So then we go into the second part, and it comes back to like Batman being up in the air, up in the Batcave with by the glider robot, and then Alfred walks in, and then he like sees that the robot's got him and everything. The Batcomputer is on the fritz. So then Batman's able to get away from the robot and get down.
I just he yanks the wires out, like just like rips them. I've made this joke, Tracy, before. It's like and I don't know if you played the Arkham games, but it always makes me laugh when like Batman will, like punch through a panel or something, and
Yeah.
like just seems to have no like risk factor. Like I'm assuming those gloves are insulated because otherwise he's like potentially electrocuting himself.
Or like breaking his knuckles every time.
That too.
I imagine that Bat Boots probably has some good rubber soles on
Yeah,
them,
there you
so
go.
that probably
Mm.
probably helps them with that. I would think.
Yes.
So that's when he goes looking to find out like who hacked the Bat computer. At first, he's got an idea of like where to find it, then the connection's severed. That's the thing. It would be one thing if it was just the robots, but the fact that this artificial intelligence from afar is able to do because like with the time of, like this is the early 90s, we didn't have as much understanding of artificial intelligence as we do now. It would be very easy to still think inside the box of the
Mm.
storytelling. But the fact that it's like, no, HARDAC's able to, access him from like afar is a whole different step and makes him that more intimidating as a villain. So when, go ahead, Tracy.
Yeah, no. No, that's right. No, I was just checking something because they're they make reference to a villain getting access from afar, but that's in like the next episode. Um, I think. No, I'm looking at IMDb, so I don't know what the next episode you guys are gonna do is, unfortunately. Um, but like I think in 1992 it's when like the internet was getting prevalent and like more and more people were understanding what it was.
Hmm.
Oh
And
yeah,
I
so it's
think
starting to become like a
this is like the reference to it because there's a reference to it as well when the Riddler shows up in another episode. And because they're just like, you didn't check for the modem. And you're like, oh my God. Okay. And then they explain what a modem is. I was like, oh my God. Like it's that kind of stuff. But
Batman was
no, I
teaching
agree
me
with
internet skills.
you.
Where did you learn how to hack? I learned it from watching you.
I learned it from Zero Cool.
Yep, seriously. Oh my God.
So yeah, he as you had mentioned earlier, Batman's like like I think Randa's behind this and she probably left clues behind. After all, she's only human.
Yes.
Ah.
Ha
And
ha ha. Yes.
so that's when we cut back to Cybertron. It, it's I still laugh every time I say like of all the things that they pick Cybertron, like it's not even a subtle reference.
No.
More than meets the eye.
Well, they know they're gonna say cyber something, and I guess they couldn't pick Cyberdyne. They couldn't pick
That's what I
Cyberdyne.
thought. Yeah.
I mean, like, what
Uh,
cyber soft? Like, I don't know where they're gonna go with
Yeah.
it.
And yeah,
or or may-
Rossum's like,
or maybe they're going for like the movie Tron and not thinking
I
Transformers
didn't
or
even think about. Yeah, you know what? That would be a timely reference. Okay,
Mhm.
you know what? I'll give him that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
could be
yeah,
it.
just
Yeah.
and that's when Rossum's going to HARDAC and say the duplicator machine was activated. I didn't authorize that. HARDAC's like, I'm the boss now, bitch.
And
So
takes him out
yeah,
hard.
he's gone full Ultron, and
Mhm.
like I thought at first he like completely vaporized him with the amount of power on that laser, but
Yeah,
no, he just
like
knocks him out.
I'm Skynet now.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, the man now, dog.
I will say there was something about that scene that really reminded me of Superman 3. Um, but well, because Richard Pryor makes like that AI that kind of goes rogue and
Mhm.
like,
Yeah.
eats people essentially. And that's sort of what it reminded me of at that point in time. And I'm sorry if nobody cares for Superman 3. I've seen it many times. It's in my brain. You're gonna get a reference for it. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, I've only seen like probably like parts of it on TV, so I haven't seen it all the way through. So I wasn't sure if it was like I know you did like some sort of robot-y thing, but I wasn't 100% what it was.
Yeah. Is it great? No. Is it enjoyable? Yes.
I don't know if you're curious enough to know this, Tracy, but do you know why there's a computer in that Superman movie?
No, why?
That was supposed to be Brainiac.
Was it really?
I'm not even kidding.
Oh my God. Oh
No, but just
wow.
picture that. Richard Pryor playing
Made
Brainiac.
Oh,
that
that'd
I
be it.
oh my God. Now I have to rewatch that movie. Oh my God. Okay, yes.
Like,
This is blowing my mind all of a sudden. It's a thing,
there's the
yes.
Batgirl movie, Nicolas Cage as Superman, and Richard Pryor as
It's
Brainiac.
Brainiac.
Somewhere in the
Oh
multiverse, these movies exist.
I don't know. That one didn't show up in the Flash movie, so I don't believe it. But we'll go with it. Whatever. I mean, Nicolas Cage's Superman showed up in that one. I
Yeah.
don't know. That was
and,
offensive. That was
and the
offensive. Oh my God. Yes.
and the giant spider.
Yes. Oh my God. I mean, I really enjoy Nicolas Cage and Darren Aronofsky, but that would have been horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Horrible. I'm really like it's one of the few times I'm like, I'm glad that didn't happen. I'm
yeah,
glad.
because it
Usually,
would have been like early '90s Cage, and I'm not sure. Yeah, if that
yeah.
Cage would have been that would like that era Cage would have been good. Yeah, I don't think.
Yeah, usually like I see stuff like this and be like, oh, we could have had this. I was like, that would have been interesting. I'm curious what that would be. This was like, no, just burn it. I'm glad it's
Yeah.
gone. Done. Yeah.
What's Face Off, Adam? Was that like 97?
Uh, yeah, I think it was '97. Yeah,
So yeah, we probably would have gotten a little bit of that Cage channeled
Yeah.
into our Man of Steel.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I could eat a peach for hours.
The closest thing to that Superman we got was when he did the voice on Teen Titans Go to the Movies. So it's fine.
Yes.
It's all we needed. It's all good.
So yeah, is him doing like the Spider Noir like series still a thing?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
That
That
show's in
sounds
production. Is he gonna be the voice for Spider-Man Noir?
As far as I know, yeah.
All right.
Mhm.
Sign me up.
I mean, I don't think like as a voice actor, like yes, it takes effort, but it's a lot less work than being on set every day. So I don't see why he wouldn't do it. And I feel like the show wouldn't have been made unless they got him on to do the voice.
Oh yeah, if you are,
So if
yeah,
it
you
comes out
definitely
and
be
it's
down
not his
for it.
voice, guess who's not watching that?
Yeah,
No, it's
exactly.
fair.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
there's only so much you can ride on just branding and aesthetic alone when
Hmm.
like you've already got butts in seats for like, like it's Nicolas Cage voicing Spider-Man.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Oh.
So I believe the next scene that we have is the robots slowly starting to take over more people or replace
Mhm.
them with more people. The first victim is Hamilton
Yeah,
Hill.
yeah, Mary
The
Hill, yeah,
mayor.
because
Yeah.
because as Karl Rossum's going into HARDAC to tell him about the duplication being used again. Yeah, where you see like Hamilton Mayor Hill in his office, and then he hears a knock at the door, and then the answer is it's a copy of him.
Actually, isn't it Bullock that gets changed first, but we don't know that that's what's happening?
Oh yeah, well, yeah, I think he goes through him, but does he actually get changed? Is that when he does change, or
Well,
is he kind of
because you
like
end up with Commissioner Gordon and he's at the police station and Bullock comes in and he's
Mhm.
sending him back to Cybertron to check on something and he's
oh yeah,
complaining about it. But then you don't see him for a while and then he gets on the phone and he's on the phone with somebody you don't know, but I guess it's Hardak. And and then that's when they come up with the plan to get Bruce Wayne or whatever at like the Gotham Club, and then it cuts to Mayor Hill at like working, and then he gets changed there. But I feel
Oh
like
yeah,
in
because
that time, Bullock is getting changed as
well,
well.
I think they're kind
Yeah.
of like I just read it as they were kind of like playing on if he like did he get changed or did not sort of thing, because I think he says something and then he kind of smiles. So like I was just kind of, I think that I read it as they're just kind of like winking at the camera, being like, did he or did he not? But I guess at the end of the episode he is like in part of the Matrix people in the water goo or whatever. So I guess he did.
The
Yes.
tank of green jello.
Yeah. Now that I'm thinking about it, yeah, he is a part of there. So I just initially I read that as they were kind of playing with it or not, but
Mhm.
And by this point, Barbara has come to suspect that something's off with her dad, and she's actually, gotten onto the bat signal to call Batman because she's like, I don't know what's going on, but like the guy looks like my dad, he talks like my dad, but he's not my dad.
yeah, it's like I know
And
in my gut that he's not my dad. Yeah.
yeah, so Batman's like, I'll look into it, and that's when Bullock shows up, or is it Bullock? Because that's when he flicks a toothpick at him with a kind of evil. See, that's the interesting thing. HARDAC clearly programmed some of these robots with personalities, like enough to, or at least programmed them enough with a personality to replicate who they're supposed to be impersonating. But then when guys like Jim Gordon is just, I'm fine.
Yeah, exactly. Which I
Yeah,
thought was really odd because when Bullock comes there, you're like, oh no, that's the attitude. That's Bullock. Like
Yeah.
they were both like, that's Bullock.
Yeah, because
Whereas like Gordon,
that's
you're
what I
just
was saying.
like, that's not
Yeah.
quite right. Yeah.
yeah,
Or maybe just because Gordon was the first one. Yeah, they had more time to
yeah. He
program
was
him
the
accordingly for the
prototype.
rest of them. Yeah.
It could be,
Yeah,
could be. Yeah.
yeah.
But that whole, first of all, that toothpick bouncing off Batman's chest. Oh my God. I was like,
That,
fight is happening. And then the
that-
fight happens, and you're just like, this is crazy. Like,
Oh
it's
yeah.
crazy. I loved it. I loved it.
Yeah, Batman's like, I've been waiting for this day for a long time.
And then he's like, he starts fighting him, and he's like, shit, I'm losing. Yes.
That
Guess
Bullock is
what?
kicking my ass.
But it was really like pure strength. It wasn't even like punching him. He was just like holding on to him and like crushing him and like being able to like get out of his grip, you know?
Bullock almost did a Bane backbreaker move. Like he lifted him
Yes.
over his head.
Yeah. Yeah. That whole thing was fantastic and vicious. Like
Oh yeah.
really, really vicious. It's like a lot of those like really gritty action movies these days
Hmm.
where it's like if this was like live action, they would be like bruised and bloodied, shit torn and everything by
yeah,
the end
like
of the fight. And I was
yeah,
just
like
like, this is
kind of
intense.
like John Wick by the end of his movie,
Hmm.
yeah, sort of thing,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, definitely would have been.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned like how vicious like the fight scenes are, and the reason for that is because this is ironically enough, this is not the first time Batman has fought in a robot on this show.
No.
The censors gave them a pass when they said, so he's fighting a robot. You guys can go further with, like how brutal you want to take the action scenes because he's not fighting a flesh and blood human being. So that's why it gets so intense. Like,
And
you
that's
get
probably
him
why it goes
beating the
down to like the
crap out of this
robot
thing.
skeleton like almost right away as well, probably. Just like be like, hey, yeah,
Exactly.
it's not actually
Yeah.
not actually Bullock, yeah, and then
Yeah.
Well, quite a few shows from that time period got away with that. Like Samurai Jack and stuff got away with like how intense
Mm,
the action was in it because they're like, no, these are all robots. They're not spewing blood, they're spewing oil. Go crazy. And they're like, cool. And they were just like, no, it's fine. It's robots. It's robots. They're not killing people. It's allowed. And they're
yeah.
like, all right, and yeah, like rewatching Samurai Jack and some of those like how intense those sequences in and like the fight will end and his like his gi is like ripped and he's like covered in oil, but really you're like that's technically blood. That's
robot blood.
crazy. Yeah,
It's
it's
like
nuts.
I don't know, like when the last time you guys watched like the Transformers movies, like the Michael
Mhm.
Bay ones, but like I
No.
watch that with a whole different perspective now because I'm like, Optimus Prime is a sociopath. Like, if this is like, me fighting another human being in like the context of like a Transformer fighting another Transformer, he literally says, "Give me your face," and rips it off. Like, if this was like a Vietnam War and like you
Mhm.
did stuff like that, like you'd be, hauled into like the military barracks.
Yeah, which one? Which is the movie where they're in Vietnam and they've got like a necklace of ears and stuff?
Yeah.
Or am I thinking Universal Soldier, where that guy was
Yeah,
collecting trophies as
yeah,
well? Is
they're in
that what I'm
Vietnam for
thinking
that.
of?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Dolph Lundgren
Dolph
goes crazy.
Lundgren.
Yeah,
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 yeah. No, like
yeah.
no, it's true. Like the Transformers in those movies, when they fight each other, they're like ripping off their arms and all kinds of stuff. Like that's psychotic.
Like
Yeah,
he's supposed to be like the Superman of the Transformers, and it's like,
yeah.
nah, dude, you're like the Wolverine.
Yes, yeah. No, now that you said it that way, yes, that is exactly what it's like. It's very true.
I watched that series with like a whole different set of eyes now, and I'm just like, when are we gonna have a sit down with like Optimus Prime's like PTSD, like a crazed war vet?
There's like a group therapy session of all the people he's maimed, you know.
Yeah,
And there's all these like Transformers or Decepticons, and one's missing a leg and one's missing an
yeah.
arm, one's face is hanging off, you know. We
I'm
read
starting to see Megatron's point a little bit.
Yeah, that's why he just
like
needs to get back to Cybertron so he can get the medevac transformer to help him
yeah.
Yeah.
He's a he's being a little extreme at this point.
Yeah.
out.
Mhm.
So, while Batman's wrestling with Bullock, he drops his grappling gun, and Barbara picks it up, and she pulls a scorpion, "Get over here," and
Yeah.
like hauls him by the ankle. Batman pushes him off, and he lands into the bat signal. Okay, he didn't know that Bullock was a robot until he hit the thing. So, did Batman just theoretically commit murder?
I will say, well, yes, okay. He
Oh,
was
yes.
fighting for his life. Um, but I will say they had a proper reaction, like especially Barbara, who had like walked up and had tears in her eyes, did the whole like, oh my God, hands over her mouth thing. Like
Yes.
she did all of it because they're just like, oh shit, we just killed somebody. And then
Yeah.
full on Terminator and just got up, skin exploded, skeleton, and came at them again. So you're just like, oh, it wasn't him. Oh my God, we don't have to cry. It was a great reveal. It was a
You
great
just hear
reveal.
Batman like muttering under his breath. Ah, damn it. I thought it was really him.
This time I had a good excuse for his death. God, oh, yeah.
He threw a toothpick at
Yeah.
me.
It was self-defense, I swear. Yeah. But it
Yeah,
was
you
such
find
a it was such a good intense scene as well.
Mm.
Yeah. Mhm.
yeah, you find out this bulk after he throws a batarang that goes through through its head.
Yeah. Chopped off its what it cut off its like neck, right? And the
Yeah,
head
so
falls
yeah,
off.
Mm.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. It's good.
And that's where he says, like, to Barbara, I'm gonna go to Cybertron because clearly something's going on over there. After realizing that like Bullock had gone to Cybertron and come back a robot, he's like, yeah, I should probably check that place out. I still can't believe it took him this long to get there, but whatever. Um, and tells Barbara, go home, stay somewhere safe, like stay out of this. I love the bit where she's tugging on his cape and like it's just this simple line of like, please let go of my cape.
Yes.
Like
I
it's
love that line. I love
I
it.
know
Yeah.
it's so brief and like, Kevin couldn't have played it any other way,
Yeah.
but like it's just so it's like, please, please just stop. Like you're
Yeah.
embarrassing yourself.
Yeah, I like that he's not talking down to her. He's not being threatening. He's not being rude or anything. He's just like, just let go of the cape. Just,
Yeah.
I'm just
just
asking,
like
you know. Yeah, it's great. It's great.
So what happens after that? Is it them heading back to Cybertron and him looking into the situation, or was there something that happened in between?
No, isn't
Oh,
it? Doesn't he turn back? Isn't he back as Bruce Wayne and he goes to that meeting
Oh,
with the
right.
mayor? Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
yeah, he goes to a social club to meet the fake Mayor Hill, yeah.
yeah. And then
And
like all
then
the
That's it.
glowing eyes in the
yeah,
room,
they
and
get
they
Su
come
then
at
Su then
him.
yeah, Susie gets there, yeah,
Right, with the robot Jimmy Stewart.
Yes. Um, I will say that sequence, especially like they attack him like kind of like zombies, right? Because they just like go
Mhm.
at him like lunge, and he like gets away. Fine. But then the part in the elevator where they like stop the elevator, he goes up, and then one of the ones that you don't know who they are, um, just jumps straight up and then lands like a spider crouch, and like
Yes.
his head
yeah,
turns all the way around. I was just like, what? Don't
Yeah, it
do
was
that
some
that. Like,
Exorcist
that
stuff.
oh,
yes.
like I it made me think of General Grievous actually. That's what I thought he looked like.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No. But I found
Was
it
Hello
so
there.
creepy. It was so, so creepy. Yeah. But it was very cool. Very cool. That's the key. Cool,
That's the thing.
creepy.
Like the animators knew, like once they got like the basic principles of how these robots worked, how to like up the creepiness factor more and more.
Hmm. I also think they were trying to push to remind people these are not people. Like
Yes.
these are
yeah.
robots. So
Yeah.
we're gonna do some stuff to them, just an FYI, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to do that when like you can actually see the robots, but when they're, covered in living tissue of a metal endoskeleton,
Yes.
um, they have to kind of convey that in a way that like kids will understand. Otherwise, it's like, why is Batman taking a man down an elevator shaft?
Exactly. You're like, Batman doesn't kill people. But like, remember, honey, it's a robot, but they do it visually. It's good.
Can't kill robots.
Yeah.
No matter how hard we try. So, um, yeah, so he that's what and Randa was there too. So I guess that's when he realizes, okay, Cybertron is behind this
Hmm.
and
Yeah,
goes
yeah,
to the
because she comes
facility.
out and she says that it's her that's behind it and stuff. Yeah, and then the Batman or Bruce as Batman kind of gets him all in the elevator and sends him down the shaft and gets away from
Mhm.
them.
Hmm. Yeah.
And I noticed he took the hang glider there. At first, I'm like, why is he relying so much on this hang glider? But then I remembered he just had his computer in his bat cave, like all his tech hacked. So he's probably like, you know what? I think I'm gonna go like with non-tech at this point, like as much as I can for this, upcoming fight. Like Batman's going Amish after this. Like,
Exactly. Yeah. He's like low tech all the way, can't be hacked. Let's do this. Yes. Yeah.
and
Um, go ahead. Yeah.
no, I was gonna let you finish there.
Oh no, I was gonna go back to Barbara and be like, while he's getting attacked there, she's already broken in to
Hmm.
She says,
Cybertron, you know? And I like that whole sequence where she's like, because I find, except for the villains, most of the women that show up in this show are very damsel in distress or I can't help myself. And I know they introduced her this way because she's gonna be Batgirl, but if you don't know, as a kid, I didn't know the history behind this girl, right? And but like if you don't know that history, you're just like, oh my god, it's a girl who can do stuff, who's not scared to take things into her own hands. She's not scared to like she can hold her own in situations. Like she's smart, she's capable, she's gonna get some shit done. No, it doesn't go perfectly, but at least she's like, I'm gonna try. I'm not gonna cower in a corner or just be like, oh, you told me to wait in the car, I'll wait in the car. Like she's not that person, which I really, really enjoyed.
She's got street smarts too, because like she used her makeup kit to like figure out like the fingerprints on the passcode key. Like I'm like,
Mm,
all right, like she's clearly learned a lot from her dad and knows how to take initiative. So
yeah. One thing I did find funny about that scene is like, look, I know what you did was ingenious, but just because you can see what numbers are pressed doesn't mean it tells you
Wait.
what order they're pressed in.
Yeah, she was
That
Those
able
was a
two,
good point.
you gotta get the order like right away, like first
yeah,
try. Yeah.
I know. Yeah.
Right, yeah, at least they sure get it wrong once, and then like the second time, we're like, okay, yeah,
Yeah,
there we
exactly, exactly. But she was like,
go.
boop, boop, boop. I was like, that's not how this works usually. But people can be lazy. What can I say with making passcodes? It's a problem.
One, two, three, four, five.
Yeah.
yeah, did get the training from Sarah Connor to be able to hack computers easily that way, so she had to just guess correctly.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
And I believe that's when as she gets in was it the garbage can that turned out to be a robot?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Like pretty much assume everything from the urinal to the garbage can to
Yeah.
the foot massager is designed to kill you in this place.
In some way. Yeah, I
Yeah.
believe so. Yeah. Even
Because
like what the first time he went there was like a robot playing like a trumpet as he went down the elevator or whatever. That thing's gonna kill you. It is.
yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, then the lamp also made him like an espresso or something too.
Yeah. But I really did like the design of that robot. I thought it was really, really cool.
Mhm.
And like the robot like catches her and takes her to like HARDAC or whatever. And so this is where I'm gonna make a comment about modern animation and older animation and how stylistic this show is, and specifically these two episodes. Because when she gets captured and hands over to Randa and the other guy, and the robot goes back into a corner, sits down, becomes a garbage can again, and this is a completely unnecessary scene, but you see the room from the vantage point of the
Mhm.
garbage can robot as Barbara's getting led away.
I
And
noticed that
then
too.
it looks around and then it shuts the front and then it goes to the next scene. And I was just like, first of all, art, love it. Oh my God, menacing. What we already knew it was menacing, but this just added this beautiful level to it. And I feel like things like that in modern animation would have automatically been cut. Because they're like,
Mhm.
that's 3 seconds. You don't, it doesn't really do anything. It just kind of looks cool, but it doesn't do anything. So we're going to cut it for time, or we're going to cut it for cost, or we're going to cut it for something. Um, and there's so many scenes in the show and like these two episodes that are just mood. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like they're just about like feeling this thing. Like even, when the chips are sent over and they're on the beach, and instead of just having Randa be beside where it lands and picks it up, they have her like barefoot walk across the sand nice and slowly, pick it up and be like, ooh, we got it, and then goes to the car. Like it's like little things like that that are just like get the feeling for the space. um and stuff like there's a lot of open door, long shadow through the door in these two episodes that you're just like, so it's just this very like overwhelming smallness, to the people,
Mhm.
and stuff like that. And they have like a lot of like really odd askew angles in this episode as well. And I don't I like I just I have said this on my podcast and I've said this while talking to other people about this show. And all I can say is art. It is
Yeah.
art. And I love
100%.
it. Love it. I love it,
Yeah.
love it, love it. Yeah.
You can almost kind of see like this all if they were to film this in live action, it would almost like shot for shot work in a live action structure if
Oh
they were
yeah,
to compare it.
definitely.
And I think
Or
that's what sells the animation here is that it
or
feels
like
real.
the long shadow like door frames made me think of Sin City. like a couple shots there.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Maybe.
Yeah, definitely.
But
Like I just think it's just got such a beautiful like style, and it uses like shadow and color so well to
Mhm.
convey the spaces and the what you're supposed to be feeling and all this kind of stuff within it, that like I'm still in awe when I watch this show that's over 30 years old, and I'm like, oh my god,
Yeah.
so great. Yeah.
The animation style, I think, is very, for lack of a better term, evocative. Like it
Hmm.
knows exactly the right, like right down to the clothing, the architecture, the backdrops. It knows not just how to look like the time setting or kind of environment it's supposed to be, but also make you feel like you're stepping into it, which is very challenging. I do writing on the side, and like I'm always looking for descriptive stuff in like a text basis of like how to find the right words to evoke the right kind of feeling, like when you're looking for how to describe a scene or how to describe like a person or like a certain setting. And it's very challenging, but in a visual medium like this, it's all the more interesting how they're able to pull that off, especially when everything's kind of finalized.
Exactly. Yeah. Because you think about like, well, what was the script that was handed to you? How was it written? And so then the director comes and you're like, yes, we have this world that's established, but we have a bunch of new spaces and a bunch of new things. How are we going to translate this in a way that properly represents the script? And then you come up with this and you're just like, how did you do that? Like,
Yeah.
where is this actually coming from? And it's amazing to me.
And I'll remind the listeners, this is an episode like story idea that came from scratch. HARDAC is not from the comics. Like they made up this entire story, this entire villain, and like the entire premise here completely of their own imagination. And that's the thing that it works and
Yes.
it warrants two parts.
Hmm. Yeah, and I like when they do that in this show because they manage to make a menace that still fits the Batman world, or still fits somebody who Batman would clearly be a foe of, without seeming out of place or, for lack of a better word, ridiculous in that space. It works really well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's my rant about the art of Batman, the animated series.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like
So,
it's just so good with the like one thing about the art is like instead of like doing everything on like on a white page, they start off with like a dark page and
A
had
black page, yeah.
mm,
color it that way. So like I think that's one of not the only thing that I know that's done it that way. So
Mhm.
I think that kind of definitely adds to its distinctive look. Yeah, so that's like the fact that they did it that way.
Yeah,
it's
I think
noir on noir.
exactly. Yeah, I think that's why it comes across so rich visually still,
Mhm.
because of that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's another way of putting it, like very rich animation.
Hmm. Yeah. Okay.
So I believe after Barbara gets captured by Randa and not Rossum, that's when Batman does he get captured or does he just break in and like walk into Hardac's like main room or
Like he doesn't he like repel from like the ceiling or something? Like he
that's it?
breaks
Yeah.
from the top, I think is what it is, and he lands.
Hmm.
I think
And
so. Yeah.
then he starts talking, and I think not what's his name? The scientist guy.
Rossum.
Yeah, like holds him, and then like Hardak tells what his plan is or
Hmm.
whatever. And that's when they show like the people in the water slash goo slash whatever it is that
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
suspended
that
in.
little scene that made me think of the Matrix. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh no, that
So
made
yeah.
me sorry, that actually made me think of Starship Troopers when
Oh yeah.
Rico gets
Oh
injured and then
yeah. Oh
they
yes.
find him in like the water tank. Yeah.
Enrico, you're dead.
Yeah. Which is also kind of reference to Star Wars, isn't it? Because isn't Luke Skywalker when he gets his hand
Back to
chopped
tank.
off in the
Yeah, he's
tank.
about to
Yeah.
tank it.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Stormtroopers, I love that movie.
HARDAC's plan here, I'm trying to remember the specifics, but like it's pretty much like kind of Ultron style, where Rossum, I guess he had lost his daughter
In a car
and
accident.
in a car accident, and so he wanted to try and like essentially bring her back to life as like a duplicant, not replicant. They made sure not to get into copyright territory. They said duplicant. Uh, so he was just decided, in for a penny, in for a pound, and decided, why don't we just replace the entire human race? And I
Yeah.
guess Rossum only figured that out like just now, as like Hardak is kind of pushing him off to the side.
Mhm.
And so, like, because how does Barbara put it? Um, because he says like about human error, and Barbara's like, well, of course it's human error. That's what humans do. And Hardak's like, exactly. It's like,
Yeah.
It's like not
Well, I
anymore
think
when I'm done.
yeah, but I think isn't that sort of the story for a lot of like, oh my god, AI is the worst things, because even if you go like iRobot or if you go Ultron or whatever, it is taking um comments from a human to specifically,
yeah.
it's like, I want to protect the human race. They're like, okay, then a computer analyzes like the greatest threat to the human race is humans, therefore kill all humans. Like it's they
I mean, they're not
that's
wrong.
they're technically not wrong. That is true. But it kind of, it sort of defeats the purpose of saving all humans. Or even in like iRobot, it was protecting humans. So you were going to sequester all people separately, so they can't function without robots. So therefore, everybody will be
or
safe.
cause more problem harm to themselves. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
and like Ultron was like, find a way to unite all of humanity so everybody would be good, which was, destroying it, creating a crazy disaster so everybody would have to fix it. Like it's, so they like, AI is thinking too analytically to understand the complexity of the problem, because AI is just like, no, it's easy, you just do this. You're like, yeah, but 10 million people are going to die. They're like, so we save 7.9 billion people. It's worth it. You're like, oh, seems like a lot.
That's not quite how that works.
Yeah,
It's like the robot doesn't get to die with them, so it's like you're kind of biased in that decision making.
exactly. Right. Yeah.
So, okay, refresh my memory. How does the fight start?
Um, how is, I think, isn't it like Batman was like, that doesn't make any sense, and then throws one of the robots into the glass thing and
That
it
sounds right.
breaks,
Yeah,
and then they all like flood out, so then they start fighting each other because they're like, get the Batman, and blah,
yeah.
blah, blah. Yeah, I think that's how it goes.
I'm usually on top of like the details of the step by step, but like I gotta tell you, not just the
Yeah,
fact that
just
this is like a two-parter, but like so much like robot and like like technical stuff going on. I'm like, there are a lot of things that blurred together in this
Yes,
two-parter.
yes. I think my problem is too is that like, I mean, I started taking really good notes for these two episodes, but then as per usual, I'm like, it got too good, and I was just like, I'm just watching. This is
Yeah.
this is great. Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing. There's three of us, and like we're also having to ask each other, like, wait, so what happened? And
yeah.
like,
Yes, yeah. So he throws the robot into the Matrix class, and they regain conscious, and they Batman tells them to like evacuate and stuff as they're as Barbara, him and Barbara are stopping Hardak.
Hmm. Yeah. And
and
then
he's
so
fighting with Cyborg Miranda. And I love that look on his face because he's like, I almost slept with the Borg Queen. He's like horrified.
like what?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're not data here. They're
Yeah.
Batman.
And they full on like they did the weird spider crouching and all that kind of stuff, like the mayor and Gordon and stuff like started attacking him and whatever. And like one of them, like he gets thrown somewhere, just blows up, and you're like, whoa, like it's kind of amazing. But one of the things I do enjoy about this episode is finally when so like so Barbara gets like her dad out and whatever and tries to go back in for Batman and happens to see when so Randa like half her face gets ripped off, like it's full on Terminator looking at this point, like red eye, robot face, robot arm through the skin and whatever. And she's like
With me if
attacking
you want to
him,
die.
right? And then he throws her into like this area where there's like an elevator. No, what it is like, oh no, she pushes him into it, presses the elevator, and the elevator's gonna take his head off. But he manages to like flip them both over and like escape her clutch, and then she gets crushed by the elevator. And I was like, that's just the end of the first Terminator movie. What is
Yeah.
happening?
That's exactly what I thought.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely feeling that Terminator vibes the last little bit. Yeah, there with like
It was
the
very Terminator that scene because she
yeah,
stands up
100%.
full Terminator face and then it gets crushed. And I was like,
Yeah,
it's just Terminator. That's all this is. Yeah. And I
yeah,
loved it. I loved I'm not complaining. I loved every second of it.
yeah. Then after that, there's like a wide shot and it like shows like the building that has HARDAC in it because HARDAC was huge, it's blowing up, and like I've put together computers before, and like computers don't really explode like that, really. So I was like, what the hell is HARDAC made of?
I don't know. This was the size of like a whole building.
Yeah.
So like a warehouse.
Well,
So
yeah, they
who
could.
knows what's in there?
Well, because they like made it that like Kardak was like basically like the size of like the warehouse or whatever, like at least one of them. So like
Mm.
it's at least one of those things was like just all one huge ass computer, like holodeck computer. So I don't know.
Yes. I actually
It's
can't
like
remember why HARDAC just started to blow up now that I think about it.
Well, the wiki outline that I read said like because he says at the end, we have failed, that I guess that implies he self-destruct. I guess. I'm like, all right, like
Okay.
yeah, but sorry, or that must you have had like somebody else like come up and like build like like little explosions to it, so you could do that, yeah. So because it
Mm.
said like computers don't really blow up that way, so I thought that was weird,
I don't know.
but I guess they needed to.
I feel like
Yeah,
Batman threw
I thought
something, or
I
like the
felt I missed
water
something
got
or something,
into
yeah,
it,
or
or
something,
something like that. But yes, this is just an excuse for me to go rewatch the episodes, but that's fine.
yeah.
Yeah.
and that's where we have the survivors, Batman taking, Barbara out of the fire and rejoining the rest of the survivors. And like everybody's safe. And we get a lethal weapon from Gordon. I'm getting too old for this shit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was
and the
glorious.
the last little bit of that episode, yeah, Barbara just kept on saying that she was having fun doing like the action stuff, which I guess is kind of like the kind of a wink and a nod that she'll eventually become Batgirl, yeah, instead of just being
Yeah.
a damsel in distress and just not help out or anything.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a great episode with a awesome story, great beginning, middle, and end. I liked it. Yeah.
So what would you give this episode out of five rogue AIs?
Out of 5 rogue AIs, I'd give this like a 4.5. Yeah. I think my only problem with the half is that I feel like the Gordon robot was horrible, so everybody should have figured that out right away.
Yeah.
And I kind of wanted to see more non-human robots. That's because I really like that briefcase robot. I think it's weird, but I really like that briefcase robot. And of course the garbage can robot. But I want to see like something else, turn into something else or whatever.
There was also the batteries not included makeup robot.
Oh,
So
the makeup case robot. Yeah, but that one didn't do that much.
yeah, true enough. Yeah.
Yeah, it just kind of like tapped a couple of keys and then like hung out on a balcony and listened. Ugh,
Okay, I
that's
guess you're right. Yeah,
boring.
so like yeah, with that one, I always think of the movie. Batteries not included. And then
Yeah.
they do a lot more.
Great
In that
movie,
one,
by
yeah,
the
so
way.
yeah.
Great movie. Yes. Um, but yeah, but
how
that's the
about
that's
you?
the only reason why it's losing half a star. But Excellent.
0.5. What were you, Braden? What do you give this out of 5 rogue AIs?
I am also going to get a bit 4.5 out of 5. I think, for an original villain, it, sticks the landing. And it was cool to see Batman kind of, getting into some more brutal action scenes. Barbara Gordon got not just introduced, but got some agency into it. And the creepiness factor was really good. The only half point I'll take away is I still don't understand why HARDAC just blew himself up.
That's a
So
real question. Yeah.
that part. Yeah, so I think that's my why it'll lose like the 0.5 for me, because I was going to give it a 4.5 as well, because I felt like for most of the two-parters that we've had, that there was just enough story that it couldn't fit in one, but did quite necessitate 2 episodes. But I think with this one, it actually did, even though all 3 of us couldn't really remember the last like 10 minutes of the episode, like it did actually felt it did fill both 22 minutes for both episodes. So so it was pretty good, and it was a good original villain. So definitely 4.5 as well.
Yeah, definitely.
All right.
Wow. I guess we're picky people to give out 5s, man. My God. Yeah.
Well, they can't all be 5s with this show. Yeah, there's
I gave
I think
Laughing Fish a 5 out of 5 until Adam talked me out of it.
How could you give Laughing Fish a 5 out of 5? Oh my God.
Because that image of Joker falling into the open jaws of a shark still haunts my waking nightmares.
That I understand. That I do understand. I get it. It is one of the more unsettling episodes. Even with just like the laughing fish, like even everybody in Gotham was like, "That's just creepy." I'm like, "Yes, yes, it is."
Yes, it is.
So,
It's creepy and it works.
yeah.
All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us this week at Batcave to talk about Batman the Animated Series and HARDAC. Next week's episode will be If You So Smart, Why Aren't You Rich? Which I think is our first regular episode, I think. Yep, so yeah, so stay tuned for that. Thanks for joining us, Tracy. Like, where can we find you on the internet?
You can find me anywhere you listen to podcasts. Just look up Off My Shelf. I'm also on Instagram and Twitter at Oh My Shelf, or you can send me emails at ohmyshelf@gmail.com. If you've got comments or didn't like what I say, or better yet, if you loved what I said, send me a message. It'll be great.
Yeah, so Tracy does have a nice little a nice podcast there. She's had me on like I think 7 or 8 times, and actually, as I was telling you before, coincidentally, we will be recording at my next episode, and it should be out like next couple weeks as well. So like I've been on a few episodes, so like give her a listen. And how about you, Braden? Where can we find you on the internet?
You can find me at Alfred is Zaddy on Instagram. And we also have a Discord that we moderate for Beyond the Backcast. You can find that on our link tree on our Beyond the Backcast Instagram.
All right, and you can follow us on Twitter/X at Beyond Backcast, on Instagram at Beyond the Backcast, and we are on YouTube now at youtube.com/ at Beyond the Backcast. And yeah, if follow us out, or find and rate, review, subscribe on where you find your podcasts. And you can follow me at Stump Chunkman on Instagram. And yeah, as I said, thanks for joining us in the Batcave this week, Tracy. And yeah, there's us at Beyond the Backcast. Goodbye, good chums. Kapow.